Anthem TV, a free streaming digital community. With a click of a mouse or a tap on your phone, you have instant access to free TV shows, movies on demand, music, pay-per-view events, and so much more. Download Anthem TV on your smartphone, smart TV, or any streaming device and enjoy instant access. Subscribe and download Anthem TV today.
Are we up? We going? We're live. We're live. We're live. We're live. Look, it has been like a year since Salo and I did this, so we forgot some of the passwords to log in, and then we're trying to figure that out, and then we have to verify a couple things here or there so that we could stream. So hey, we're back at it a little bit. A few technical difficulties, but you know we're getting there. And so we're back up right now. Salo is literally on the other side of the TV right now. I'm watching him feverishly work to get stuff back up. But hey, look, we're sorry. Obviously, we were going to start about 10, 15 minutes ago, but we do apologize. We're going to get back in this. And of course, we're going to be talking a lot about what's happening in the city and votes and issues and baseball stadiums and soap works and taxes and all these things we're going to start to address again. But to do it, you got to be technically right, and you got to make sure you're logged in. You got to make sure your speaker's going. You got to have the Brockcast logo moving in. So, total apologies. We'll get back at it, we promise. But in the short term, let's recap a little bit about what this is going to look like and what we're going to try to do for tonight, and then the start of early vote tomorrow, and then we're going to roll through the rest of the year. We got a big election coming on November 5th. And then we're going to move into municipal elections here at the end of this year. We'll start seeing people running for mayor and city council. More of that's going to catch news, and then city council elections next May. And we got a ton of stuff coming your way. But look, we're thankful to be back, right? So the whole purpose of the podcast from day one was just to talk about the issues and things that are happening in San Antonio. Because guess what? We don't talk about the things that actually need to be said. So we're going to stream those items now. We're going to start here just on Facebook, and then we're going to build that out over the next couple of weeks and couple of months and start really pushing information out to multiple platforms. Because this is the truth about San Antonio politics. The people in charge want you to know less so that your vote, right, is misinformed, right? The lack of information is what the machine, right, the people who are in charge of running government, they don't want you to know what you're voting for. They don't want you to know what's happening at City Hall. What they live for is the opportunity to make sure you have as little bit of information as possible. So when it comes time for you to vote for them or vote for an issue or hold someone accountable, you cannot, right? So we're going to do our best as possible to change some of that and rebuild what we had. So that's the purpose of the broadcast. And we are back, and it is going to be better than ever because we're going to say more than ever and have honest conversations about the things that matter most in San Antonio. We're going to hit the propositions tonight that start on the ballot tomorrow. But after that, watch out, because this is a simple guarantee I want to give you. We're going to talk about things like VIA, right? VIA wants to take cash, right, from your cell phone bill. VIA wants to develop apartments, and they want to do these green lines, and they want bus lines. They want money after money after money for their projects, right? So we're going to talk about VIA and try to bring that to the forefront. We're going to continue to talk about this baseball stadium and the Spurs wanting to build a multi-billion-dollar entertainment district downtown. We're going to talk about that because the bottom line is if we can't pay for people and the needs of our community that are just the smallest things like streets, sidewalks, right? Making sure mailboxes aren't broken into, these basic city services. We can't take care of those things. I don't know, like maybe protecting our citizens from rabid animals mauling and eating them in our community. Perhaps we need to reset our expectations of what city government is supposed to do for us as opposed to what they want us to do for them. So that's going to be the purpose of the broadcast as we go forward. And it's going to we're going to take it on the road. We're going to do as much as we can to have conversations about the things that matter most. Tonight, we're streaming my buddy Nathaniel Villarreal on his Anthem TV feed. Anthem TV runs about 30 to 40,000 subscribers. It's a startup television network. Nathan owns Anthem Music, and he's actually helping me learn how to play the guitar. That's a whole other story for another episode. But yeah, no, John Salo's laughing at me play the guitar. But Nathan and Anthem TV are broadcasting now. We're on Facebook tonight, my personal Facebook page as well. So look, share it, push it out there, and let people know. And pop on there, ask questions. We'll be available to you to make sure we answer as much as we can as we go along. We're going to work the kinks out tonight, but the information is important, right? So one of the biggest questions I've got, since we decided to, and I'm going to follow along, of course, on Facebook. So if I look off, it's not that I'm ignoring you. It's that I'm checking out the comments and things that are happening on Facebook. So one of the biggest questions I got is, where have you been? Why no podcasts and no information out there flying around? And it's, one of the things I've always considered important about me is that I just kind of told it like it was. I try not to hide anything as best I can. I try to, give as much information, and politics just got me down over the last 10 years. The family and I in campaigns, some we won and some we lost. And after a while, you just keep trying to talk about things and issues, and it can turn into a real slog. And I took some time off. I don't really have a fancy excuse. I said to myself, I need to break away from it for a little while and put a pause on city politics and fighting issues and just trying to raise concerns or people's wishes and dreams for what they want out of their city, right? I had to take a break from it. So we put the podcast on hold, and I just kind of stayed home and tried to rebuild things, and kind of like a life after politics. And it matters when you have a family with you. That before we get into the issues, I got to remind you, these people we talk about, we're going to talk about Eric Walsh tonight in Proposition C. We're going to talk about the city council. We're going to talk about people, trying to run our city. And we have to also remember they're people, right? So they have lives and families and people that care about them. And when we lose sight of that, right, it becomes very easy to say things about each other and really try to, I'm not saying politics hurts people, but I'm saying it can turn around and cause problems in people's lives just because we simply disagree, right? So what I try to do is pride myself on just saying as much as I can, rooted in fact, so that everybody at least can make an informed decision. We got big votes coming up and things that are really going to matter over the next couple of weeks. And the face of our country is going to change. And then we're going to go into a city municipal election where, of course, the face of our city and community will change as well. So try to remember, and I stepped away from it to take a break, right? Because I've probably been campaigning for 10 years straight, as far back as streetcar petitions and other things I've done, to getting elected to the council, to coming up really close in a mayor's race that really took a lot out of us. And then COVID hits, and, in the family, we just kind of have to take a step back and recognize that you got to focus on your home first. And that's kind of why the podcast fell off. But now, look, I told myself eventually these things were going to come back, because nobody says the things in our city that need to be said. And what I did see over the last year was nobody really raising these issues. And people are trying to individually fight City Hall, or try to fight VIA or SAWS or CPS Energy, right? Or trying to stop Graham Weston from tearing down apartment complexes, trying to stop the machine from tearing down parts of our community, our culture, our history, right? So the machine wants a particular future for San Antonio. But what I have noticed about it is we tend to forget individuals, right? People and issues that matter most to the person living down on Mission Road at South Cross. If you're living up on Parambido, if you're off of 151 in Westover Hills, or you're living over off Hackberry, wherever you're at in this city, it's your particular piece of San Antonio. So your vote matters to you in your front yard, right? What happens at your door is what matters most to you. So I want to make sure you have that information, especially when it comes to these propositions. We've got 6 propositions we're going to vote on that change our city charter for the future. Our city charter is our Constitution. And I want you to ask yourself this question: how much of this do you really know? Like, how much of it have you seen over the last 6 months from the city, from city leadership, from the money machine, from the business community? How much do you really know about these propositions A through F? I'm willing to bet that 90+% of voters are going to hit those poll sites starting tomorrow, because early vote starts tomorrow, and they really have no idea what they're about to vote on. That's what the machine, the business community, City Hall, the mayor, council members, that's what they want. They want you with a little bit of information to vote for exactly what they want. Because the minute we start asking questions or shine a light on what's happening, what happens? The same thing, you turn on a light, man, the roaches scurry, right? You find out what's really happening when you ask the tough questions and you sit down and you're really stoked. You pull a little bit of string on that suit and the whole thing falls apart. So these propositions are very important. And tonight, what we want to make sure we do is give you just a quick overview of them. Each one of them, we talk about them, and I tell you why I think all 6 of them need to be voted down. And I'll give you information why, but I want you to, it's important that you understand how these propositions are created or thought of in the first place. I have done propositions to change the city charter because a team of people and I went out and collected signatures to get it done. Our charter is our constitution. It tells us how our local government will run. And once it's codified, once it becomes part of the charter, part of law, we have to follow it. I'll give you a couple important things. The city council members and their terms are in the city charter. The powers of City Hall and how many times they meet are in the city charter. Streetcar is in the city charter. How Public Works operates, how all these departments and everything is codified in our charter, right? It's listed out. It's not a massive document. It's not thousands of pages, and it's kind of high level, but it gives you marching orders of how our city operates. If you want to learn any more about it, let's say you can't sleep one night, got some insomnia going on, and you want to sit down and put yourself to sleep, Google San Antonio City Charter, bring up the document and take a look at it. You'll be stunned at what's in there because it tells you how our community operates. Now, me, John Q. Public, if I want to go out and change the city charter, I have to go collect 20,000 signatures. I have to verify them. I have to submit them, let the city verify the validity of them, 20,000 valid voter signatures, and then the item will get placed on the ballot for a vote by the community. That's not what happened with these charter proposals. What did happen in this particular case is that the mayor formed a charter commission, really, hand-picked group of people operating under the direction of the mayor and city council. And they came up with 6 items. Now, they went over a series of meetings in real inopportune times. That's how they do this at the city, by the way. They have meetings when it's least convenient and where it's least convenient for the public to show up, right? They don't want the public there, right? If the public's there, meetings get out of hand, right? And the crazy people start talking and bringing up things that they don't want to hear. So meetings at City Hall are configured in a way that happen and take place at the worst possible time and location for you, the voter. So they have these charter committee meetings, and miraculously, these 6 items come out that mirror just about what the mayor and city council wanted, and they get placed on the ballot with no required signatures from voters. So you have this balance, right? The voter has to reach this super level of signatures, 20,000 signatures. I've collected these charter petition signatures before. It takes time and a lot of money to get it done. The city, a few meetings, we'll do them whenever we want. We'll have these charter commissions set up. We'll have the hand-picked charter committee, and then we'll put them on a ballot. And lo and behold, we get these 6 that operate and change the pay of our top city leaders, modernize some language, adjust some ethics complaints, but they're very narrow on the ballot. And I'm going to show you what they are exactly, so you know when you see them starting tomorrow what they're going to be. But they don't match what is really getting changed. So today in the Express News, I have an op-ed, an opinion editorial that came out, and credit to the Express News for running my opposition to all 6 in today's Sunday paper. And my first argument about all of them is what's on the ballot does not mirror the real effect of the charter change. And I'm going to show you a couple examples, because they take what is a massive change and they truncate it and they chunk it down into a couple of sentences and they put it on a ballot so that you are either for or against it. I'm going to show you a couple. I'm going to blow your mind because it's literally listing 50 changes in a few lines like this. So you're voting for stuff that you literally have no clue. The city did not mail you anything. They did not send you clear updates. You could find it if you went searching on their website, but they're not doing any of that. They're not holding town halls. They're not coming out and delivering you every change. They're not telling you the financial impact going forward on the city. They're doing none of that. What City Hall is doing in conjunction with the business community, certain business leaders, is raising enough money to pass these amendments with the people they care most about. And that just doesn't work for me. I mean, it sits bad when I have to ask a voter to make a decision with less than all of the information. So I say, number one, vote them all down. Propositions A through F, not because there's not merit or some of them don't make sense. No, because you don't have all the facts. They want you to vote with little to no information. And most voters, first of all, aren't even aware that elections are going to start tomorrow, but they place this item on a November ballot, right? So there's going to be hundreds of thousands of people voting, and they're going to go to this ballot, and this ballot is extreme. I mean, it's multiple pages, and buried in the middle of that are these propositions, A through F, that are going to affect and change your future and your life, buried after Donald Trump and Ted Cruz and every state rep, the House of Representatives, United States Congress, the county, and lo and behold, jammed in there is going to be these propositions. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I think you vote them down no matter what. So the big ask tonight is don't waste your time on these when you see them tomorrow. Go straight in and vote against on all 6 of these. I'm not saying some of these don't deserve to be passed in the future. I'm saying the way we did this now is dead wrong, and you, the voter, don't have all the information. I'm going to give you one example of something that's kind of scary. There's a graphic, Salo, that says SA report 1 million. I don't know if you could get that one up on the screen. It's a SA report 1 mil. It's kind of like a graphic. Says settings. Let me show you. Hold on. Let me make sure. Salo and I are. No, that one's. Well, put the yellow one up for right now. But it says, who cares about city charter amendments? The group wants to spend $1 million. It's a San Antonio report, government politics. The image is named SA report 1 million. So what's happening here is there's a private group of business leaders. This ought to freak you out. And I'm sorry I laugh at this because some of these things get held to no account. Like nobody raises a flag and says, excuse me, I don't understand why the business leaders are pumping $1 million. You can put that one up right there, Salo, that one you had right there. Yeah, I can put that one up right there. That's a perfect one. Put that one up because this lists some of these people. So there's a PAC, right, called Renew SA. You got to love that name, right? Renew SA. And they have claimed that they're going to raise $1 million to ask you to vote yes to Proposition C for it, right? So $1 million from Renew SA. Now, on that list of people are folks like Gordon Hartman, who's giving $25,000 to this. The San Antonio Apartment Association, Frost Bank giving $50,000. All to save one particular proposition. And I got to tell you this, anytime I see the business community and these people coming out and spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to pass their one item, that ought to like give you some pause. Like you ought to immediately think, why are you spending $50,000 to pass this? Like why is that important to you? Sala, can you bring that one up that shows the right there? Here it is right there. This is from KSAT, right? PAC gets big checks from business names in the San Antonio business community. Frost Bank, $50K. I don't even know who Richard Evans is, $10,000, but he's got some spare cash to help buy some yard signs for Renew SA. The Apartment Association gave $10,000. Notice these are special interest groups, right? Gordon Hartman has, Morgan's Wonderland. I mean, we see the good work of some of that in the community, but he's pumping all this cash in here for what? To save a particular position or role at City Hall, right? He's putting big money. Linebarger, Goggin, Blair, and Sampson, they got big contracts with the city. You go a few pages over, there's a development company kicking in $5,000. The list of people that they're trying to solicit to come up with $1 million, you start looking into their interest with the city and you realize something very important. They need to have access, power, and control of council members and the city manager. Without that, they can't help themselves. Gordon Hartman, right there, $25,000, is Ron Nirenberg's best buddy and master fundraiser. Now he's with another mayoral candidate in hopes of that person winning so that he can continue to hold power and the access into the next administration with the next mayor. Don't think this money comes from these people without strings attached. The strings are simple. You think Frost Bank's kicking in 50? They could have spent that money anywhere else to help anybody in this community, but no, they're not. They're trying to pass Proposition C. Why? Because they want power, access, and control, and they want to continue to hold it going forward, right? So that's a huge amount of money that people are kicking in. But what are they paying for, right? Why now? I even heard that they've asked USA and some of these other larger companies, Renew USA has, for hundreds of thousands of dollars to front and pay for their campaign, to pass one single item, Proposition C, which saves the city manager. So look, it's a lot of information, and it's all these things behind the scenes, and people are working these different angles. But I always tell you, no matter what happens, who's cutting the checks? You got to look and see who's paying who, what's their interest, right? What do they have before the council? What relationship do they have with the mayor and city hall? You know, which council members are they donating to? Why does it matter? Because those votes control zoning. They control. Look, Graham Weston is a prime example. You know, and I'm just going to be frank about this one. This person, Graham Weston's a billionaire, went and bought land a couple of years ago at the soap factory, kicking those people out, right, so they can build a downtown baseball stadium. How lucky is he that he bought the exact property with the poor people in it that are going to get kicked out, right? They're going to get displaced. How lucky is it for him to buy that particular chunk of land where that baseball stadium was going to go? That's just billionaire luck, I guess, right? The guy wakes up, falls out of bed into a pit of money. I mean, how lucky is that? No, it's not luck. It's a plan. It's access, right? They know to go buy. He's trying to buy the Robert E. Lee Tower right now as well. Do you think they're going to build something? They absolutely are. And the people that get affected is the little guy, right? The voter. You're going to get displaced. They'll give you some cash when you get kicked out, but that's all this is about. Power, access, control. And that big list of people, right, is problems for the average Joe, the average voter. So propositions A through F, a couple seem kind of quiet. So we'll start with them and we'll break them out. But I want you to know, they don't give you a lot of information, because if you find out who's donating and who's giving it, you're going to say no, right? So you need to share this information, tell your family and friends that you have to vote no. You're not voting no because you hate the government or the city or any of that. You're voting no because you believe in having all the facts and information, right? So let's dig into each individual one. And by the way, I got to give credit to the San Antonio Firefighters Association, the Professional Firefighters Association. They have come out in opposition to Proposition C, which is based on the city manager's pay and his tenure. And they're out. They've sent a mail piece out. Salo actually had that one up. Salo, can you put that yellow one back up? So the firefighters and Joe Jones, their organization president, they're out mailing this right here. Look at this. They're saying the exact same thing. So you got to give credit to the people that call BS on these things. And when someone steps up and says this is wrong, you have to ask, you have to look at that person and say, what are they talking about? They have the facts. I mean, I should investigate and look into this. The firefighters started this proposition 2018, almost 6 years ago now. They began this proposition. They collected signatures. They got this thing done. But look at this. A special interest group is trying to overturn your decision. 6 years ago, the pay was out of control for the city manager. Anybody remember Cheryl Scully? City manager Cheryl Scully made over $600,000 a year, and she controlled everything, everybody, right? So we went after the city manager's pay, and we implemented a cap on the city manager's pay. And then we also turned around way back when, and we also said there was a term limit of 8 years on his or her position. They're out standing up once again saying, you got to vote against Prop C. So this is at least the firefighters are out there putting out information, attempting to get more out there. So we're going to talk about the big dogs, Proposition C, E, and F, but there's also A, B, and D that need to be discussed. So let's take a look at all 6 of these piece by piece, and I'm going to want to make sure we hit and spend more time on C, E, and F, because those to me are the ones that really present the biggest problems for the community. So Salo, pop up Proposition A. All right, so this is a city ethics review. We're going to go one by one right here. This is exactly what it's going to look like on the ballot tomorrow. Early vote starts on the 21st, goes through the 2nd. Election day is November 5th. It is a full ballot of information. You're going to have to scroll all the way down. And I encourage you, no matter what, to vote all the way down the ballot, right? You have to, because a lot of people go in there and simply hit president, senator, state House of Representatives, and they bail and punch out, and they don't go all the way down the ballot. And then you get these things called undervotes, right? You get where people are skipping items or they're not going all the way down the ballot. They literally go in to vote for president and they get out of the voting booth. Please, please. There are candidates up and down that ballot that are really trying to run campaigns to make sure that they can win an elected office. I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. It doesn't make no difference to me. There's hardworking people out there campaigning, trying to win a seat, trying to earn your vote. Go all the way down the ballot, find these propositions, find these smaller cities like Schertz and other tiny municipalities that have ballot items on there, as well as positions in the county and sheriff and all these ones. Please go all the way down ballot and look for these folks. But here it is right here. So if you look at this San Antonio charter election, it's going to look like this. It says Proposition A, the Ethics Review Board. That is the bulk of what you will see tomorrow. Now, I'm telling you what's not in there, because it says, which is very interesting. This Article 13, Ethics Review Board of the City Charter shall be amended to add a definition of conflicts of interest, requires sufficient funding to the Ethics Review Board. Sufficient funding, right? So this, first of all, you don't know what the change is, right? You don't know what the definition of conflict of interest is. You do not know how much money it's talking about. You're simply voting. In fact, the number is unknown. Sufficient funding can literally mean any amount that the city council or city hall wants to put on this. Vote this sucker down unless they tell you it's $500,000. It's this operating budget for 2 or 3 years. Here is the exact language. Then this doesn't deserve your vote, because if they can't give you the full amount of information, why give them a yes, right? So ethics matters in our city. And I can tell you this right now, the Ethics Review Board has kind of been a toothless monster for a lot of years anyways. If anything, you get a slap on the wrist and nothing happens. There are ethics violations all day long at City Hall. Nobody cares about them at the Ethics Review Board because nobody gets in trouble. We're not a crystal clean city that has absolutely zero violations. That is far from the truth. The Ethics Review Board has very little enumerated powers, and that is the problem. You can fix it and give these people some teeth and some real proof, right? If you do something wrong at the city, you will get fined. You could potentially get expelled. You can lose your job. Those are real ethics review, right? Those are ethics platforms. This is a who knows what in the world, what in the hell this part. Sufficient funding should scare. Anytime if I said, my wife and I were talking, I said, I'm going to go to the mall, hunt. I'm going over to Dick's Sporting Goods over there. I just need sufficient funding to buy myself a new set of golf clubs. I'm going to get laughed out of the house, right? Like, I have to have specific budgetary items to get things done. This doesn't deserve your vote because it's absolutely no idea or information. So Ethics Review Board changes. You can actually go see, if you, again, want to fall asleep, you can go look at the entire red line charter. And I don't know if we can bring up a PDF on here or not, Salo, but I have it on there. I don't know. It's kind of a difficult piece to bring up because it's literally 40 pages of red line changes. That's the full ballot, actually. So when you, that's a good one. Thank you, Salo. When you go out there tomorrow and you start voting, that's how these are set up, and that's what they look like. That's a lot of information packed into one ballot item. So you're going to be pushing that button, and it's going to be scrolling through these items. And this is probably the first time you would see them starting tomorrow. I mean, you're watching them tonight, you'll see things tonight. But starting tomorrow, that's what you're going to see. These items will pop up on your green screen, and you'll have an opportunity to select them or pick them. And it's the first time, I swear to you, 90% of the community is actually going to see these items. So bring up Proposition B, Salo, and let's hit that one. So Ethics Review Board, we have no idea what the funding means. We have no idea on the mechanism. This one I can't. This one is ridiculous to me. I'm sorry. Language modernization. Shall the following sections of the city charter be amended? And then it lists them out for you. How courteous of City Hall to list all of these items for your consumption and vote. I have no idea. When I know, because I looked at them. I mean, I can read them off to you one by one. But how stupid is it that they're asking you to vote for these changes that revise or eliminate provisions which have been superseded by state law and to update archaic language to current usage? I have no idea, or I'm sorry, 99.9% of citizens have no idea what any of those articles are. If you want to change it, inform us step by step about what's being changed. If you vote for this, man, you know what? I trust Ron and his merry band of council members. They're doing the right thing. I'm just simply going to vote for these no matter what. You got my vote. Thank you for telling me what each one of these. If you vote for them, you get what you deserve. But this is the most comical item on the list, Proposition B, because there's 50 changes right there of which you have no clue. Prop B does not deserve your vote. And it stinks that you would have to list this massive amount of changes out. But unless you're fully disclosing it, how can you ask somebody to give a yes vote on Proposition B? Makes no sense to me. Again, this is about information. If we don't trust the citizens with it, we don't deserve their vote. Vote it down. Proposition C. Now, this is one that really is catching all the news, right? So the charter of the city of San Antonio be amended to grant the city council, right, authority to set the full terms of the city manager's employment, including tenure and compensation. 6 years ago, I was the lone council member with the San Antonio firefighters in support of keeping Cheryl Scully's pay, right, capped to 10 times. Now, this is what we did back in the day. We capped it to match 10 times the lowest full-time salaried employee at the city. So you can imagine, right, that Cheryl Scully's making $650,000 a year. The lowest paid person's making about 30. Scully's getting hundreds of thousands of dollars of raises over her 12, 15-year tenure. The little man's getting 1%, 2%, and 3%. So we knew that was wrong back in the day. The public voted overwhelmingly, 59-41, to put these limits in place and to say there's an 8-year term limit. So what has happened now is that the powers that be, right? This is the one that those big time guys, the billionaires and the millionaires, this is the one they want to pass. They want this one to fly through because they want access to the city manager. City Hall, right? San Antonio has a council manager form of government, meaning that it has a professional manager, right? A CEO that runs the day-to-day operations. And I don't know if you knew this or not, but a council member cannot tell anybody in the city staff what to do with their job. They cannot hire and they cannot fire. The only person they can is the city manager. All 14,000 other employees cannot be touched. When I was on the city council, I cannot go into public works and get after anybody or tell anybody how to do their job. It's a violation of the city charter. It's a power in the city charter. It's a protection. We have a council that is basically a board of directors. And that board of directors deals with the city manager, who then implements policy across the entire city staff. We cannot tell them what to do or not to do. But what happened was Cheryl Scully just took over everything, had so much power, right? She controlled the city council. She controlled the mayor. She ran it with an iron fist, and it pissed people off. They didn't want her making that kind of money, and they put a term limit in place of 8 years. And lo and behold, now we've got Eric Walsh running the city. Full disclosure, I think Eric Walsh should keep his job. I think he is a homegrown talent. He's a good man. He's working hard. I like Eric. I supported Eric when we chose him back in 2018. So that's somebody that I wanted to see continue as our city manager. He deserves the job. Does he deserve more money? There's a possibility there, of course, sure. The term limits piece, you know what? I personally don't see how we put term limits on a non-elected official. So I'm not really too concerned about term limits because he can be fired. He or she can be fired by the council if the council shows leadership. See, here's where we've always failed as a city. We let somebody like Cheryl Scully control all the power. So the elected official was the weak one in the link. I'm going to give you a really kind of a cool story. I got elected to the city council in 2017, and my first meeting was Cheryl Scully, which previous to that, I had already worked against her with the Police Officers Association, the firefighters. I've done political work and tried to fight City Hall, and Cheryl Scully was one of the people that I felt, all right, had ran her course in our community, was making too much money and had too much power. So my first meeting with Cheryl Scully, this is what she told me. I don't think I've ever told this story, but I was sitting there with her, and the city attorney was right there as well, which is an unusual thing, but Cheryl wanted the city attorney there. Cheryl told me, this is no BS, I've been through 47 of you council members. You're number 48. And I'm like, wow, okay, hold on a second here. You're telling me that you had so much power that the 47 before me didn't matter. I looked right back at Cheryl and I said, well, you've never been through one like me. And in a year and a half, she was gone. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. That's what we want to prevent. Proposition C does that. For Cheryl Scully to sit across from a council member who's elected by the people and say, I've been through 47 of you, the height of too much power and absolute corruption. That's what the business community and those big time tens of thousands of dollar donors, that's what they want. They want that stability of a city manager they can control, and they can get their zoning, their dollars, their incentives, their millions of tax abatements. They don't want that. They don't want to have to deal with an elected city council. They prefer to deal with the city manager. Now, we're blessed with Eric Walsh. I think we've got somebody we need to work to keep. But when you combine both the pay and the tenure again, like they did right here, you got to vote it down. The tool that we have, and this is what I don't get, the city council claims to be the most liberal, progressive city council in history. Yet they want to pay, right, the city manager north of $400,000. They want to raise their own pay, right? But they're not thinking about the lowest paid person in the city staff. Right now, if I wanted to give Eric Walsh a pay raise, what I would have done is found out, I'd ask who's the lowest paid people at the city of San Antonio. They're probably making about $35,000 a year. How do I raise their pay? Because the law is very simple. The charter is very simple. 10 times the lowest paid. That's how that works. So I would raise, if I wanted to give Eric Walsh a raise, this is the ultimate pay equity tool. If I wanted to give Eric a raise, I have to raise the little man's pay too. That's the beauty of what the firefighters did. They tied the two together. So you have to think about Mr. Entry Level when you're raising number one. So if they wanted to raise Eric's pay, what they should have done was raise the pay of the lowest person and thereby would have created a larger ceiling. But they didn't do that. The only person's pay they want to raise is the person at the top. That is a classic business community move. Think about every major corporation in America right now. Who makes the millions upon millions? It's the CEO. Who's struggling at the bottom? But we in San Antonio found a way to tie those two together. But the business community wants you to piss that away and get rid of that connection, right? That forced pay equity. I say you got to vote it down. I think we can remove the term limits. I don't really care about that. If we have a city council that can fire somebody and shows and exhibits leadership, then get rid of it. That's fine. So what do we have to do? We have to make sure that we can control this pay. I'm sorry, this is San Antonio. If I made $375,000 a year, I think that's pretty good San Antonio pay. The business community is going to tell you, well, we can't. I mean, Henry Cisneros was in the paper today. Well, I mean, we're not, we can't hire the best talent. Come on, man. $375,000 a year is not the best talent. Okay, fine. Dallas or Austin's paying $500,000. That's on Dallas and Austin. But we can raise their pay by thinking of the little man. So we don't want to cut that out. I'm advocating for the smallest salary at City Hall. Let's put more money into those at the bottom of the pay range. It will raise all ships. That tide raises all ships. That's why that's built the way it is. So credit to the firefighters for seeing that. Now they can say, oh, they're just pissed at Cheryl Scully and that's why they did it because they're contract negotiations. You can say whatever the hell you want. But the bottom line is it worked. Think about this. In what world would we ever be talking about the person who makes the least? Never. Never. So the city council can run around. Ooh, I'm a progressive liberal. Vote for Kamala. All these other things, right? The little man, the union. And then they turn around and give more pay to themselves or more pay to the city manager. Nobody mentioned, can I please raise the pay for the little guy? It's because they talk out of one side and their actions are another. Vote no on C and make sure, right? Spread the word on this one. We want to keep Eric. We can come back and do another one and remove the term limits. We can do that. And we can raise the pay of the little person, right? The little man, thereby giving Eric more cash if we want to. Don't let the business community, the millionaires and billionaires make more money off your back by you making a vote that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't say in here, Eric already makes $375. Doesn't say that in there. They don't want you to know that. Because if you saw what he makes now, you're going to be like, well, hey, hold on a second. Isn't that enough? And the little man's making $37.5. Come on. Think about it. Vote it down. Say no. All right. So Proposition D, Sal will bring that one up. That one gets me worked up. I'm sorry, man. And I like Eric. I think Eric deserves the job. And can we give him more compensation? Absolutely. I just don't understand why nobody sees, and this is perhaps one of the things that just really has got me the most over the years. It's the same people in charge. If the city has the same problems it's had for 40 plus years, the same neighborhoods don't have their streets done. The same stray dogs are chewing people alive on the south side. The north side got a $70 million Hardburger Park, but the south side can't get $1 million to fix a park down there, right? The east side's still struggling and gets the Frost Bank Center, which now we're going to take away. And we're going to put it downtown because we want $1 billion entertainment district. So the east side ends up with nothing, just where they were before they even got there. This is insanity to me. We keep electing and listening to the same people. Henry Cisneros is around all the time. It's always there, right? Nelson Wolf, Hardburger, Julian Castro, Trey Martinez Fisher, all these people, right? No faces ever change. So when people get mad at the city, they keep electing the same people. So we got to find other ways to hold folks accountable, right? Because if we don't, we're going to continue to get the same things. The problem areas in San Antonio for the last 40 years are the same. They never change. It's always the same issues and concerns. Hell, we're about to lose Southwest Airlines, right? USA's moving some operations out to Phoenix. We want to put a baseball stadium downtown. What about Nelson Wolf? Frost Bank Center we're going to lose the Spurs to downtown San Antonio. The east side walks away with nothing. All at the hands of city council, which leads me to Proposition D, allowing city employees political activity. Well, I think you have to, in this particular one, I do have concerns. I'd vote this one down so that we understand a little bit more about what that means. Shall the charter of the city of San Antonio be amended to allow employees to participate in local political activity consistent with state and federal law? They talk sometimes about, well, the police officers and firefighters get to do politics. It's because they have a separate contract with the city. Police officers and firefighters are not your direct employee to the city of San Antonio. They operate on a contract that's negotiated every 3 to 5 years in pay and benefits. And in that contract, they negotiate particular parameters of their job. City staff is not like that, right? They have a human resources department. They answer to directors, to the city manager, assistant city managers. They operate under a different platform. So police and fire can't be used from a political example because they literally have a different set of rules by which they play because they are unionized and they come in and they literally negotiate parts or aspects of their contract. This one, I think we need more information on it. I don't know. It's a tough one because you have to think too about these employees. They have to vote for people, right? That control their paycheck and their livelihood, right? So is there scenarios where we got to be very careful where directors can apply pressure? Well, this particular city council member, I know this person. We don't want that mess at City Hall. We don't want it at the city staff. Can we work a better avenue so that they can become more involved? Absolutely. But that power of that pressure from City Hall, from the mayor onto the staff can be real, right? So we want to be very careful about political activity. They won't have the resources to fight back. Police officers and firefighters, they have PACs. They have a political machine that can fight back. They got resources and money. That's in their contracts. The regular average city employee who's hitting the road every day, picking up trash, taking care of you, the one that's grabbing those dogs on the side of the road, they don't have the same controls, right? They're not as protected, right? So we have to keep an eye out for the city employee. This is a union-driven initiative. There are a couple big unions still left at the city. They want their employees to have more political power. There's actually one union that's really pushing this because they want they're a city employee union. They want the power for their people to get out and vote because it makes them more relevant, gives them more power. But that's not even 1/10 of the entire city staff. This brings a lot of opportunity for pressure on the regular employee just trying to show up and do his job every day. Let's go to E and F, and then we'll wrap these up. So E&F is compensation and tenure of the city council members. This is wild to me, right? So this is it, right? So we're going to go from set the compensation for city council and the mayor at $70,200 and the mayor at $87,800. Right now, city council members make about $47,000, $48,000, plus there's benefits on top of that. So they can have a car allowance, they have a cell phone allowance, and a few other things, right? They have like a discretionary account they can spend a little bit of resources out of too. The mayor is going to go from about 62 to 87. I come to encapsulate it in this very simple format. City council wants you to give them a 53% pay raise. 53%. The mayor is a 42% pay raise. They voted this in. They put this in there for themselves. So the problem here is, as we've seen, the city staff getting single-digit pay raises every year. Our firefighters just negotiated a contract for, I think it was 21% over 3 or 4 years. I don't remember the exact number right now off the top of my head. They're fighting tooth and nail to get pay raises at the city staff and our firefighters. And next year, our police officers are going to be negotiating as well. City council is going to fight them every step of the way to ensure they can keep the amount of money they make down, right? They don't want to pay any more than they have to. So you can see a city employee getting about 3 or 4% of a pay raise, staring at a city council member getting 53. And part of the argument was, well, it's a quality of life thing. I can't raise a family making $47,000 a year. There was a time when council members made $20 a meeting. Okay, and then we brought in pay increases to about $47,000. The average San Antonio family, right? The family of 4, scraping by with a couple of jobs, doing the best they can, paying their bills. They're in that $47,000 to $50,000 pay range. So a city council person, I just firmly believe this. Number one, you don't get in the job to be wealthy, right? You get in the job to serve, right? You have to have a servant's heart to do it. If you think you're going to raise a family on and do those other things, I'm telling you right now, remember, Eric Walsh is 10 times the salary of the lowest paid employee. The lowest paid employee is making $37,000 a year, $35,000. City council, $47,000. Come on. I got to ask you, have you ever actually met your council member? So $47,000 a year. They want to go to $70,000 plus a $600 or so car allowance and a cell phone. So that number gets to about $80,000 a year. I served at City Hall. It's not an $80,000 a year job. I'm sorry, it's not. Now, you can work 20 hours a week or you can work 80 hours a week. That's on you. You don't do the job to make that kind of money. You don't do the job to make more than the average. That's for sure. You do it because it's a servant's mentality. Can you do other work? Absolutely. So these council members have other careers and other livelihoods. Remember, they're a board of directors, and each council member has about 5 to 7 employees that handle all the day-to-day. They got a chief of staff, a constituent services manager. They got a lot of employees working for them. So they're not by themselves running around doing all the work. They can have up to 7, 8, 9 employees, almost $500,000 a year in salaries that they get to spend as they see fit for their own team. Council members are not by themselves. So they're not full-time running around going crazy 80 hours a week. Now, you do the job. It's hard. It requires your time and energy. It's in the evenings. It does cut into your life. I've done it. I can attest to how hard it can be. And I went all in on it because that's what I felt. Is your council member all in? Do you believe them to be worthy of a 53% pay raise? If you do, go knock it out. Vote yes. I mean, more power to you. But I'm here to tell you, under no circumstance should they be giving them that size of a raise to themselves. Now, they can reject it if they want. I doubt any of those council members are going to reject the pay raise. A few of them, 3 of them, voted against putting it on the ballot. Credit to them. But the bottom line is this: they're banking on nobody paying attention to this and realizing just how massive of a pay raise they want to give themselves. How can we fight police officers and firefighters for 20%? Like literally, it was all over the news. We've been fighting them for 10 years. But they give them, by the way, this is 53% pay raise in 1 year. The police officers and firefighters get 21 to 25%. Well, actually got 21. I believe the police officers got about 17 over 3 to 4 years, which equates to about 4 or 5% a year. So the police officers get about 5% a year. The firefighters are getting about 5 to 6% a year. City council, 53. Now they're going to tell you, well, but you know what? It's only 10 of us. I don't care how many of you there are. If you can't offer the same raises to the people you lead, you don't deserve it. Like, don't vote this thing down. I would not give them another penny, right? Let alone in Proposition F. Sal, if you want to put that one up. Proposition F, they want to go from 2-year terms to 4-year terms with a maximum of 8 years. I'm telling you, the longer a politician doesn't have to worry about being held accountable to the voter, the more entrenched and owned by special interests they become. They become nearly unbeatable, and they're already unbeatable. A 2-year term is good for the United States Congress. It's the House of Representatives. It should be fine for City Hall. State representatives every 2 years. Why does City Council deserve a 4-year term and the mayor a 4-year term? They want it so they don't have to run every couple of years and stand in front of you asking for a vote. The paper argued that, well, you know what? They can get to learn their jobs and figure it out. And then once they understand how things work, they become better over time. Sure. Yes, that's true of any job. But in this particular case, I'm sorry. I want to be able to have a council member stand before me every 2 years and tell me why they deserve another 2. Not, I'll see you in 4 years. I mean, come on. We don't. Take it. Nobody will ever beat these people in 4 years. Do you understand that? I mean, once they get the job, it's going to cost so much money to get rid of them, right? To run against them. No one's going to challenge them. So these props E and F, when I talk about self-serving propositions, these are the 2 worst on the ballot. And they're the worst because City Hall wants to give it to themselves. It just does not make sense. Now, at least they're honest in this one. It's going from 2 years to 4 years. And more time is more people bought and paid for. Those money guys that I was telling you about earlier, the guys donating tens of thousands of dollars trying to pass Proposition C, they own these people. You're down there for 4 years, you become part of the machine, man. You're just part of it. It infects you. And you could probably say, well, Greg, what are you talking about? It infects you. I don't understand that. I'm telling you, I witnessed people, right? Other council members would not meet with people unless it was at the Palm for a steak dinner. I'd see him, I'd hear him say, meet me at Fleming's, and I'll do business with you at Fleming's so I can have a nice filet mignon. Like that, they would use their position for their own, they would monetize their position for their own personal gain. I saw it with my own eyes. I saw a council member currently running for mayor kick back and try to make money for his business off of his position. That's insanity to me. So maybe I take it too personal, having been down there and seen some of this graft, seen these people control the system. The last thing I want to do is give them 4 more years, give them another 2 years. So for 4 years, they can run around and do whatever they want. That's not what we're in the business of in San Antonio. We're a nonpartisan city. Every 2 years, I think it speaks volumes that we still honor and adhere to that. And we make sure that they stand before the voters and they earn that seat every couple of years. And this argument that, well, we're always campaigning and we're always I can't focus on my job. Then get better at your job, man. Get better at it. I don't know what to tell you if it takes you a year just to learn your job. Anywhere else in America and any other corporate job, if it takes you a year to learn your job, you're fired, man. You ain't got no job. Can you imagine showing up to your job and after about 6 months or a year saying, hey, look, I'm still kind of learning this? Get out of here, man. You either know the job or you don't, right? And after a couple of months, you should know where the bathrooms are, how the meetings go, what the vote means, because you know where you get your information from, the people. And that's what we've lost sight of. You got to go back to the people to find out what they want. And you got to put in the 40, 50, 60 hours a week. You ran for office. You made the choice. It was not about pay. I saw Henry Cisneros today was out there in the paper talking about they need more money. He served when it was $20 a meeting. So it's not about the money. And this argument that we get better talent when we pay more, that's not true. The best mayors and council members we had were when we paid them $20 a meeting. Henry Cisneros, Nelson Wolff, Phil Hardberger, Howard Peak. I mean, these people we start to list off, right? The people that have served. Nelson and Henry are on the, I mean, let's face it, they're the Mount Rushmore of San Antonio politics. They're at the top, right? Longest serving, always in power and control. They serve for $20 a meeting. You mean to tell me we can't get the best if we don't pay them and give them 4 years? It's wrong. It's not true. The people making the arguments, they only want you to say yes because it makes them powerful. The access. If I get to know somebody for 4 years, man, I'm really going to own them. The longer they're there, the better it is. That's not true for the voter or the person, right? So that's props A through F. It's a lot. We got to wrap it up now, Salo. We're here towards the end of it. We're down at the bottom line. The tough part about all this stuff is that these aren't really exciting items, right? And I'm looking at them and I'm going through them, and it's hard to talk about stuff that's relatively boring. And San Antonio, I'll tell you this, a lot of times I've noticed over the years that people tend to vote against their own self-interest. It's not because they don't want the best for themselves. It's because they don't have all the facts. And they roll into the voting booth, and up comes all these items, and they've immediately based on little information, and it's wrong. So the number one reason we got to vote all this crap down is because we don't have all the information. If we had the information, good stuff's going to happen. At least you make the vote and let things fall where they may. But until we get there, right, until we honestly have it, we got to be thankful. We got to be thinking about what matters. We got to be thinking of our front door. We got to be thinking about our council member. Do they earn it? Do they deserve it? Where are we at? What's happening in our city, right? So look, we're back. We're going to be talking about these things, and tonight's a lot of, like I said at the beginning, a lot of technical glitches and opportunities to get better. Sorry about that, but we have an opportunity really to start shining a light on it. I can promise you where we're going next. We're going to talk about VIA. Right? That's a wonderful opportunity for us to really have a conversation about what in the world's going on over at VIA. We have to shine a light on that mess over there. They're trying to get pennies, add pennies to your cell phone bill so that they can have more money and resources. They want to build an east side multimodal transit for millions. What about that one out on 281 that nobody even visits anymore? Spent $30 million out there. VIA deserves to have the light shine on them, and we're going to do it here and make sure people understand what's going on. We're going to make sure Graham Weston doesn't get away making millions of more dollars on your back. The Spurs are coming up. We want a lot more cash. All these people want these big corporations. What are you going to do to make sure you at least have the information that can hold them accountable? What I've noticed over the last year, not many people trying to fight the system. What we're going to do is we're going to come back, try to consolidate some of this. We're going to talk about things that people don't want to talk about. And at the end of the day, vote. And if it wins, it wins. If it passes, it passes. If these pass, hey, man, more power to you. But I tell you what would be a good petition. Maybe somebody should do a petition on ensuring that if they want money for a stadium, it's got to go to the voters. That's a good petition we could start. Let's get a charter change coming for the next couple of years that says, if you want $1 for a sports stadium, the voter has to say yes. I'd like to see the Spurs walking out trying to sell that. Instead, we get a downtown baseball stadium that nobody wants, smaller than the one we had, right? But it sure does make some people money downtown. And that group that owns the Missions, boy, they're making a few bucks now. What are you getting off of it? Nothing. So let's think about that, because these items, right, people can't afford them anymore. When's the last time you could afford a Spurs game? I can guarantee you the average San Antonio resident is not going to be able to get in downtown to watch that baseball game. So we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot of information coming in the future. For now, let's just remember this. Brockcast is back. We're going to be talking about the things that matter. We're going to bring people in that believe the exact opposite of me, and we're going to have a good conversation about it. And at the end of the day, we part friends and let the vote stand where it is. That's what it's about at City Hall. That's what it's about in politics, and what's always great about San Antonio. Can we agree to disagree and let the votes fall where they may? And good luck to you if you can out debate me and beat me at the ballot box. Take it all day long. Voting starts tomorrow. Get out there. Make sure you cast your vote. I don't care who you vote for. Let everybody know October 21st, tomorrow is the start of early vote. Election day is November 5th. Wherever you fall in your vote, get out there and make it happen. Be informed and do what's right for you at your front door. Talk to every neighbor you know, and we'll see you at the end of the day when we count those votes, and we'll see where things fall. But until then, the broadcast is back, and we are looking forward to every opportunity to spend an hour a week with you talking about every issue that matters. So, Salo, let's get it right. We'll be talking soon. And I guess that's really it. The broadcast is back, but tonight we are officially out.
Anthem Anthem TV, a free streaming digital community. With a click of a mouse or a tap on your phone, you have instant access to free TV shows, movies on demand, music, pay-per-view events, and so much more. Download Anthem TV on your smartphone, smart TV, or any streaming device and enjoy instant access. Subscribe and download Anthem TV today.